Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Mintle. Hey, thanks for listening to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. Faith radio podcasts are only possible because of your support. Thanks for giving and for sharing with a friend.
Doing life together, reaching out with hope, encouraging one another, each step along the road. You and I can make everything a little better, doing life together.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. I'm your host, Dr. Linda Mintle, the relationship doctor, and I'm here along with my co-host, the other Dr. Mintle, my husband, Norm.
Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah, and every weekend we're here, we're doing life together, and we're so glad that you've joined us.
So I gave you a little clue right there.
You did.
Yeah, when I did the ho, ho, ho thing.
Yes.
Can you guess?
I guess we're going to talk something about the
Christmas.
holidays.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Okay.
Everybody says it's the most wonderful time of the year, and I can't disagree.
I know. I like Christmas.
I do too. But here's my question for everybody listening, including you, Dr. Linda. When did you begin celebrating? I mean, like, for example, when do you begin listening to Christmas music? Or when do you first put up decorations outside in your house or your lawn or inside of the house? Or when do you get into the Christmas spirit?
Well, I know why we're asking these questions because we're going to talk about something that we thought was kind of fun, kind of lighthearted. So, if you're guilty of this, we're not trying to condemn you or anything, but we just thought we'd bring it up because there's something, Norm, called Christmas creep. Have you ever heard of that? That term?
It certainly seems to make sense based on what I was just describing.
Yeah, now it's not like you're creepy. It's not that kind of creep. It's the way it creeps up. So it's related to how early merchandisers introduce Christmas.
Worse and worse every year.
Every year. Then merchandising or decorations come up before a lot of the other type of holidays.
Before
even.
Halloween.
I know. And in the United States, we're supposed to sort of technically wait until after Thanksgiving.
Yes, please.
I think that's gone out the window based on what I'm seeing.
I think so.
The term Christmas creep was first coined in the mid-1980s. It's
Why
an old term.
Why are you and I just now hearing about
No,
it?
I think
Where
we
have we been?
understand. We understand the concept, right? But we
Yes.
did never heard that term until we started looking at this.
All right, so I have a few questions to determine if anybody listening is guilty of Christmas creeping.
Curly knows.
And we shouldn't say guilty because that just sounds too pejorative.
If we're a creepers,
If you're a creeper, I'm a CC.
Christmas creeper. There you go.
Oh, goodness. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Do you get a real tree, a fake tree, or both?
Oh, both.
By the way, how many trees do you have in your house? This is a topic I gave up on years ago at my place.
I know. So, I think you had to give in to the real tree.
I did.
We do have a fake tree. We have
A
that fish
couple
tree.
fake
We have a
trees.
Virginia Beach fish tree, which is
And
so
we-
fun.
Right, and we have fake trees out on the front
We do,
porch that are
but we
lit.
do. But we have this fake tree, which I love because it's all white. It was in my mom's store for years. It was
really?
It was a display. That's how we
know
got
that.
that. And we started putting all the fish on it when we lived, because we lived in Virginia Beach for so many years. So we've got fish and starfish and I think coffee cups and
You've
all
got
kinds of crazy,
lots of
crazy
coffee
stuff on there.
stuff, right.
Yeah. But it's a fun tree and it's fake. But our main tree is real. And I think that's really due to the differences in our background. So you grew up in Honduras on the mission field, and you didn't have a family event where you could go out and buy a tree.
No, in fact, when I was a kid, there was a pine tree disease
Oh,
going on, and you couldn't cut trees. It was against the law.
you had pine trees in Honduras where you lived?
Yeah, lots.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what did you talk about what you guys did for a
They
tree?
bought one of those. I'll bet a lot of people listening had one of those little silver ones.
Oh, yeah,
And then the
yeah.
color
Wheel?
So we didn't even put lights on it. There was a color wheel
Well,
that illuminated the tree.
Yes, I had a friend from our church, and I would go after the services with her, sometimes to have dinner with her, and they had one of those.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by it. 'cause
Well, we thought it was cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Well, for me, getting the real tree is tradition, and it has so much meaning behind it. I mean, I have so many good memories with my family. My dad was always really fun going out and getting the tree. He would be very jovial during that time. And, I know that fake trees can be set up anytime, right? So part of the issue is if you get a real tree, you can't do a lot of Christmas creeping because the tree will be dead.
You have finally given me the best argument
Oh, good.
ever.
Yeah.
Because it's by the time we take it down, which is typically New Year's Day
Yes,
during the
yes.
football games, it is so dead and
Yes.
dry.
So if we were creeping with it really early, it would be dead before Christmas even happened. So I think that's one of the reasons, though.
Easy, Katie. Easy. Katie's quietly chuckling
Our
her head off.
producer, our technical producer over there, she's laughing at us. But you know what? I think that one of the reasons people put them up so early is because they have the fake trees. And then I know people who leave them up, Norm, till February.
We have in my office a woman who listens to Christmas music all year long.
Wow.
And she began putting up decorations in her office about a month ago.
Oh, well.
And
So she loves Christmas.
She loves Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. So here's another one. Do you leave outside Christmas lights on your house all year, but then turn them off and don't turn them back on until sometime after Halloween?
Well, we saw a lot of them go up on Halloween.
Yeah.
So people didn't even wait for that. We've noticed this in our neighborhood. And I might be, though, because it's expensive to put those lights up.
Well, if you have a company do it,
Yeah, and that's what we see in our neighborhood. A company comes, puts them up, and then you pay a fee each year to put them back up. I guess you buy them and then you keep them and then they put them back up. But one of the cheaper ways to do it would be just leave them up all year and
just
don't
not
turn
turn
them
'em
on.
on.
Yeah, don't turn them
Because
on.
most people wouldn't notice driving by your house that there are Christmas lights
No.
all along the perimeter.
But we are seeing them in November, early November. They're already lit up, so there are people ready to roll.
All right, number 3, music.
Okay, you talked about your person at work.
Yes, she listens all year long. But when
Yeah.
you begin to listen to Christmas music, the stores start playing it earlier and earlier, like they start putting up their merchandise.
Yes, I heard it right after Halloween in a couple of the stores, and I made a comment out loud. I was shopping, and I said, "Oh my gosh, already?" And the retailer was like, "Yeah, tell me about
Well,
it."
think of those poor people. They have to listen to the music on loop
Yes.
the whole time they're
Yeah,
shifting.
and I'll talk a little bit about that because there is some research about that. But we usually begin on our long drive home for Thanksgiving. But you make us wait every year. You make us wait till after Thanksgiving.
It was the trade-off. I mean, I couldn't get the big fake tree, which would have been
Right,
nice.
right.
So they don't get to listen to music in my house, in my hearing. Now, I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't know what you do privately. Do you listen to it privately?
No, I
Okay.
don't. I kind of gone along with this because I have this reverence for Thanksgiving. I really like one holiday at a time. So I'm one of those people. But you can definitely hear it inside. So here's what I found out, Norm. People who work in stores where the music plays incessantly must learn to tune it out
They have to.
because it's hard to focus. And studies show that it can make people more anxious and depressed. And researchers polled workers and they said their holiday cheer dwindles due to the looping of the music, and they have to endure it on every single
Well,
shift.
isn't that a psychological thing? It's called desensitization.
Yeah.
I mean, you completely lose the meaning of the music if you hear it nonstop.
But this is even doing more. It's making you anxious and depressed, they're saying. And then it can irritate shoppers if it's played too loudly
It irritates
and too
me.
early. I know. So
Bah humbug.
not everybody responds to it well, right? The songs can trigger stress too because music is a countdown to Christmas that can make some people feel pressured to buy. Then they're thinking of all the planning and they're dealing with travel. All of that can be negative. So the music can actually trigger them to feel overwhelmed early in this process. And if you have negative family memories, it can trigger some of those feelings as well. So it's not all wonderful when they hear the music.
No, and I think you hit a big part of it on the head is they want you to start thinking about paying and buying Christmas gifts. So
Yeah,
you're doing that. Okay, how about Hallmark movies?
Okay, now you're
The
getting
Christmas ones.
you're getting on sacred ground with a lot of our listeners because people love the Hallmark movies, and it's so funny that you bring that up because I was really bored this past summer, and I was in a hotel room because I was traveling, and there was a Christmas Hallmark movie on.
Stop it.
I
In the
watched it.
summer?
I watched it. Yes, I did. It was like one of those mindless, feel-good movies,
yeah.
better than most of my other options are. But Norm, like I said, people love those movies. They're sappy, but they make you feel good. Even though they're very unrealistic and they're totally predictable. I mean, the script is always the same. I think they just allow people to have a moment of escape and just feel good about life.
Right. Well, we know that this is, I think we've established that it's creeping earlier and earlier. And if you don't like it, folks in the audience, I hope you'll push back.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe people really like it.
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't like it,
Yeah, you could
say
push
something.
back.
Yeah. Okay, so number 5, parties. Do you schedule them well in advance since everybody's schedule usually fills up by mid-November? Actually, I would think that was a smart thing to do.
I know. I really should do that because there's a lot of pressure to get your bid in early if you want to celebrate with certain people, right? I mean, it's really stressful. Busy people, they don't think real far ahead. And if they get an event, they put it on their calendar. And between the work events, the family events, the friend events, there aren't a lot of days when you start counting them
Very
up.
true.
So the point isn't to add to your stress. So maybe this is a holiday creep that's a good one.
I think it is.
All right, let's
it's
keep
the one that
that
makes
one.
sense. We'll keep that one.
All right.
Okay, here's number 6. When did you begin shopping for
Oh,
Christmas gifts? And I
okay.
know the answer about you.
I know. I shop all year long. It's true. I have a bin in a closet, and I just add to it, which can be dangerous because then I forget what I buy.
Yes, you do.
But I got to tell you, Norm, we saw in Costco in August.
August this year. August. Yeah.
I think we give them the stink eye for putting out Christmas items in August. I mean, come on. It's just way too soon, right?
One group of national retailers reported that 40% of people plan their holiday shopping before Halloween. So that's why they put stuff up.
I guess.
And it has
Yeah.
only grown in number of stores that put out their holiday decor early. Christmas sales are definitely up and running by October 1st.
Yeah, I just think the twinkling lights, the festive music, the aroma of freshly baked cookies, all of that brings such joy to people. But if you do it early and often, does it kind of lose its power a little bit? I think it's really a personal thing. So again,
Yes,
we're not trying to
yes.
condemn you, but this year, for example, I mean, I did start my peppermint mocha coffee before Thanksgiving. I did. I did. And I found the creamer somewhere and I bought it again because I love it.
So
Oh, well.
what's the big Halloween scent that everybody puts out?
Oh, I don't like the pumpkin
I don't either.
spice.
Yeah,
I don't
pumpkin
like it
spice.
at
I don't
all.
either.
So I just skip right over to the
So I'm
peppermint.
happy for you to have peppermint. Anyway, more to talk about after this short break. We're going to talk about how Christmas creep might actually be sidelining the true meaning of Christmas. Stay tuned.
Is every spare minute of your life filled with some activity, event, or demand? If so, you could be suffering from a very common American disease. It's called overcommitment, and it has seeped into every area of our lives. I'm Dr. Linda, the relationship doctor, and yes, I'll admit it, I've fallen prey to overcommitment in my life just like I imagine you have. Saying no occasionally is the best defense against overcommitment. But if it's too late and you're already overcommitted, here's a little tip to help you make it through. In the busiest days, you can still stop and take 5 just for yourself. When your heart is racing and your thoughts are whirling inside your head, your effectiveness just plummets. But if you'll pause right in the middle of all the hubbub, maybe close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remind yourself that the current task will be completed, you'll feel an immediate sense of relief. Then you can head back into the job at hand with renewed focus and energy. And when the next chance comes to overcommit, it comes your way, you can work on your priorities by just saying no.
Ho, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Linda Show. This is just a reminder that you can follow her on social media, X and Instagram, at Dr. Linda Mintle, Dr. Linda Mintle, and Facebook, Dr. Linda Mintle, author and speaker. And you can also listen to our podcast on myfaithradio.com or any favorite podcast platform you enjoy. Just search Dr. Linda Mintle Podcast or go to faithradio.com. Now, during the break, our producer, Katie Sims Wilson, asked about you putting real dead fish on the Christmas
I
tree.
think she meant dead.
She didn't mean live.
She lives in a state that doesn't have any water. It's landlocked, completely landlocked. So when you live in a state that's on one of the coasts,
Like we used to.
yeah, you go into lots of stores and there's lots of really fun fish ornaments.
Ornaments.
And, ornaments, Katie. It wasn't real fish. So she was getting
Colorful.
really concerned, like, what were we sticking on that tree? Well, we cleared that up.
Good.
All right.
Well, in this program, we're talking about Christmas creep and basically how in some cases, it makes Thanksgiving almost invisible or a non-event.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we just choose to wait until after Thanksgiving is over, because then we can really concentrate on Thanksgiving itself and the gratitude that we feel. And that's really important. Now, that's important all year long.
Right.
To feel grateful and to give thanks. But remembering how the Pilgrims gave thanks during the first Thanksgiving, I think that's something worth its due and worth celebrating.
I think so too. And so we advocate for not losing Thanksgiving in the hubbub of Christmas creep.
That's right.
You know, our children did that in school. Remember, they were in a classic Christian school, and they learned all about Squanto, the Native American from the Pawtuxet tribe who had been kidnapped by the English sea captains, all very adventurous and big stories, and sold into slavery. She escaped to London, came back to his homeland in northern New England. And he then, out of the goodness of his heart and out of forgiveness, actually, forgiveness.
It's a powerful story.
Taught the Pilgrims how to farm and forge an alliance with the Europeans. And this is a story, it's just one example of harmony and forgiveness between the colonists and the Native Americans. And I think that's a theme that we need to remember and celebrate and rekindle amongst so many different people groups we have today in our country.
Yeah, it's just a terrific story about redemption, right? You're treated horribly, and then you come back and help people, and then you're part of bringing unity and harmony to each other. So what a great thing to remember. And I don't know how often that story is told. I mean, I remember they actually read it, and then I think they even acted it out.
Yeah, I remember the costumes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I say we give Thanksgiving its rightful due.
Good. Agreed. But back to Christmas creep and the retailing aspects that we've been discussing. Do you think that the long emphasis period about Christmas and all that stuff takes the fun out of holiday shopping? Does it for you?
No, I really, for me, it helps.
Okay.
It helps me because of my busy life. I don't have to make that last
Right.
minute decisions, but there are people that love that.
It's a rush.
Yeah, they love going at the last minute and trying to get it. I just prefer all the displays and the decorating to wait until after Thanksgiving to make it more festive and focused on the actual holiday. But I don't mind the early sales because it lets me get things done without, all that last minute pressure. But again, we're just saying these are personal things. A lot of people love to do that Christmas Eve. When I worked in my mom's shop, she had a clothing store. All these men would come in. It's a woman's fashion store, and all these men would come in on Christmas Eve. I always had to work Christmas Eve because I was home from college, and they would, they didn't have a gift, and by then we were so picked over in terms of the clothing, and they would come in, they go, I'd say, what size is she? And they go, oh, she's like you, she's your size. Like everybody was me in my size. So what they were doing is they were just grabbing something, putting it in a box, and then guess what?
box, right.
After Christmas,
Returns.
massive returns. I guess it was the thought that counted, right?
I suppose so. Well, here's a quote from 1947 that was in the La Crosse Tribute. That's a local paper that some folks who are listening to us may even subscribe to today.
La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right?
It speaks to the change in our culture and maybe how materialism has crept in as well. Here's the quote. We see these decorations a month and a half before the holiday arrives, and when it does come, we're so sick and tired of the lights and the trimmings, we pay no attention to them, and the whole atmosphere is dull at the time it should be cheerful. That was in a letter to the editor. Well, he was a grouch.
Wow, but that was 1947.
1947.
And he was worried about Christmas creep back then?
Yeah.
Wow, he would probably be really a minority opinion now. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but in 1974, which is like 50 years ago, right? An animated special. It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. I think they still show that, actually.
Probably from time to time.
But it has the characters to go shopping at a department store and discovered that it has its Christmas display up in the middle of April, including a sign warning that there were merely 246 days left until Christmas. I love it.
Well, they were on top of this a long time ago.
They were.
And here are a couple more satirical attempts. Jim Butcher wrote in 2012 a novel called Cold Days, in which Santa declares himself that he's drawing the line at Halloween. Good for
Santa
you,
takes
Santa.
a stand.
That's right. And in 2015, a radio station in Richmond, Virginia, satirized the phenomenon of Christmas creep, by airing a 12-hour stunt of, quote, inappropriately early Christmas music
Oh, my goodness.
in October.
Oh, my goodness. Well, all that to say that Christmas creep is actually a real thing But does it take our focus off the true meaning of Christmas? And while most of what we're discussing could be considered what you and I call first world problems,
Right,
because they're
exactly.
just, it's really all about preferences, really, what we're talking about. It does seem to focus more on materialism than on the true meaning of Christmas.
Right, I agree. And here's a thought. How about we shift the creep to meaningful efforts like community service, helping our neighbors, giving time to those in need? It's never too early to volunteer at a food bank, for example, or a homeless shelter, or begin preparing gifts for people who are less fortunate. I think that would be a really good way to overcome the creepy part of Christmas creep.
Well, again, the creep is really more about shopping and getting your lights up and your tree. It's all kind of self-focused. I know it makes you feel good. I mean, I clearly love when it's dark at night and I have the lights on of the tree. In fact, I actually miss that when we have to take the tree down because it's just this very warm, wonderful feeling, at least for me, because I have such good memories associated with that. But it is really focusing you inward on what feels good to you. And all Christmas is about is what God's gift was to us.
Right.
And so if you start to change that focus a little bit, and we're just saying maybe in your family, do some of the things that Norm is talking about, like maybe think about going to the homeless shelter. Or one year we did little bags of like shampoos and all those hotel things I used to save.
Right.
We put them all in baggies and we took them to a women's shelter, a domestic violence shelter. And we actually gave massages, and I took my daughter and she sat and did manicures for the women.
nice.
It was so great. And they just lit up when we came and we did that kind of thing.
Here's another good idea in case you're making a list. Operation Christmas Child, sponsored by Samaritan's Purse, is a great charity. You may know about it. You've probably heard about it in your church or other places where you fill up a shoebox with gifts that are then sent to children all around the world. It's a great thing to do early if you need something.
Well, I think they have to do those early because they already have
have
them
to
out
be
because they have
sent.
to be shipped there. But you can really have a lot of fun shopping with, especially if you have children or grandchildren, taking them to the store. You have lists. You can think about what they would want to put in there. And it really gives you a sense of joy. And some people put a little note in. Sometimes they put something in about we're praying for you and a note to the child that's going to get this, and maybe even a photo.
A picture of
Yeah.
their grandchild, for
Yeah,
example.
I mean it's really a great family activity. And when you shop for those items, I mean, I used to say to the kids, think about what you would want.
What you want, right?
Yeah. Now I know there's cultural differences based on where they're going, but if you can do something that would be really special for a child and maybe spend a little bit more on one little thing, that would be a really special item.
That's great. Well, if you'd like to do this, you can go to Samaritan's Purse website and download their gift suggestions. It's Samaritan's Purse, one word, SamaritansPurse.org. The website tells you what not to include, which is also pretty important in some places especially. So there's a lot of good information, and you can find ways to help there.
It's such a great cause, and we're hoping that you will also make time to be involved in all the church activities that really do make the focus of this season on the most important meaning of Christmas, right? So one of my favorite things to do each year is to sing in the Messiah. I mean, we began rehearsals early so we can perform the piece well. We used to live in towns where we would do a community Messiah sing. And then you and I have almost always been in choirs where we do the Messiah or we do the Gloria, one of the two, right? We do one of those two. And it's just, there's something about as you're preparing, and this is one where I would say Christmas Creep is really good because you have to start rehearsing those songs very early so that it's difficult music if you haven't sung it a lot. But it can be beautiful. It's inspired by the Holy Spirit. It's the Word of God. It sinks deep into your soul, and it reminds you of the miracle of Christ's birth, which we know is the greatest gift that we've ever had.
So what we're saying today is pay attention to Christmas Creep and don't allow it to overwhelm you, or more importantly, distract you from the true meaning of Christmas. Have fun. Enjoy Christmas with your family. Enjoy giving to others, because we've certainly received.
So it's great to celebrate, decorate, enjoy all the festive things around the Christmas tree and in your home, but make time for Jesus. Put on your Christmas tree lights early in the morning before the sun rises. Sit with your hot cocoa. Read the Word of God. Center yourself during this holiday season on what is truly important, the birth of Christ. That's all the time we have today. Many thanks to my co-host, Norm Mintel, who makes the show a conversation, and to our technical producer, Katie Sims Wilson. From all of us here at Faith Radio, hey, we'll talk to you again next weekend. In the meantime, remember, we're doing life together, and it's better when you don't have to do it alone.
Doing life together.
Hey, thanks for listening to this conversation from the Dr. Linda Mintel Show. These conversations are available because of your support. Become a supporter now at myfaithradio.com. Please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes, and share it with friends so we can live life to the fullest, walk confidently, and find healing and hope.